Hi there. Just lately I've been making a few of these. They're kind of like shadow boxes without the box. And they fold flat, which is an added bonus if you want to post them. If you've ever tried posting a shadow box, you'll find out that it's quite expensive, whereas these would go in a flat envelope at very little cost. This is one I designed myself, and I think there's a few flaws in the design. So I'm going to make another one. I'm going to make the Christmas tree that you can see in here a bit smaller so that it only takes up half the space. I'm also going to put a few of the presents, the Christmas gifts that we've got in here, along the front as well, because I think that will just add to it a little bit. Other than that, I really like the design. Here I am back in Design Space. What I've decided to do is modify the front cover a little bit. This is the front cover, and what I've decided to do is remove the little baubles with Merry Christmas cut out and actually cut Merry Christmas out up here into the top. So in order to do this, I'm going to use a circle shape, and I'm going to pop my little circle shape up the top and stretch it out, and I might be able to cover all the baubles at once. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a bit bumpy in the outline, because the outline is very organic anyway. So I've done that. Now I'm just going to go combine and subtract, and hopefully that should get rid of, there we go, all the little baubles. Now I also need to fill in some of these little holes up here. So once again, I'm going to use my little circle tool, my little circle shape. Oops, squashed him a bit there. And I'm going to just use this shape, Control Copy, Control V, to pop over all the little holes that I've got up the top there. Now, once again, I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to go to Combine, Unite. And voila, all the little dots have gone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my text typing tool, which is quite hard to say. Not quite sure why it always puts my text box down below here somewhere. And I'm going to type in Merry Christmas. Now, while I've got that in the box, I'm going to use this curve text tool, and I'm going to bend it a little bit so that it kind of fits the shape of the top. Now, obviously that's a lot too big, so let's make it a bit smaller. So something like that is what I want to achieve. I'm going to just wriggle that around a little bit. Now I can't actually center it because it will put it down here in the middle, so you just have to go by eye. I'm going to try to choose a font that will cut out really nicely, and I'm going to search for a stencil font and see what I come up with. Okay, so maybe something like this one here. What a stencil font does is it gives, I'm just going to zoom in and show you, instead of cutting the whole letter out, it leaves these little gaps here so that the letters don't fall out completely. For example, when you do that little cutout part of the A, there's a little bit of card tiny little bit of card that's actually going to hold that together. So you'll see what I mean when I do the cutout part. So let's make that a little bit smaller because it's quite a big font. And let's move it. I want to keep it as large as I can, otherwise it will be a bit difficult for it to cut out all the little bits and pieces. Now, I might just wriggle that end down a little bit. And that doesn't look too bad at all. So what I now want to do is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go subtract. And you can see now that I have Merry Christmas all cut out nicely. Let's zoom back out again and have a look at it now. Right, let's make them smaller. So we'll go back to 25%. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stack them all up in the order. Just select all of those, go to Align, and go Center. Now let's have a bit of a closer look at how it's going to look. All right, so what we can see here now is that the Merry Christmas has been cut out and it's showing up quite nicely. What is that there? I wonder. Let's just ungroup that for a minute and have a bit of a look. Nope, ungroup please. It seems to be showing up purple. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you can see what's happened. I took all the dots away from the first one, but now I have little dots showing, this one in particular, through my new design. So I'm going to have to go to this here, that blue layer, and actually cut that little dot out there. All the rest seem to be hidden. Now, one thing I don't really like is see how it's very flat at the top here now? I'd kind of like the red to go up a little bit, I think, and be a bit more squiggly. So I'm going to see if I can work on that now. Let's go down a bit. Take that top layer out. Put all of these ones back into a group, and I like to turn them off so that they don't distract. That is, if Design Space will play the game. Come on, Design Space, you can do it. And here we go. So let's go back to 100%, and I'm simply going to use my circle tool again, my circle shape, and this time I'm going to just kind of stretch it and make the top a little bit different. So let's try that first. Select it, go to Combine, go to Subtract. Okay, that's chopped a little bit out of the top. Another circle. Let's put that maybe over this side and stretch him out a little bit so that he's not too jerky. Just want a little bit of variety in him. Stretch him out. All right, let's have a look and see how this looks. I'll go Combine and Subtract again. All right, that's a little bit better, I think. A little bit more interesting. Let's pop him back into, oh my goodness, it appeared straight away. Pop him back into the group. Now you can see, select all and Align, Center. There we go. So now you can see that there's a little bit more blue showing. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tweak this a little bit more, then I'm going to cut it and I'll show you the final result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this purple layer and remove this little dot here by filling it in. I'm going to move the text over just a fraction because this space is a little bit bigger than this space here, and then I'm going to recut the design and see how it looks. And here's the new front piece all cut out, and cut out really well. The stencil font that I used for the Merry Christmas cut beautifully, and the letters are nice and clear. I added this little decoration here, but the rest is the same. The second layer is also cut out really nicely. I used the intricate cuts setting because of these tiny little areas in the bows on the gifts. This is the Christmas tree layer with all those little whirligigs and curly bits on it. So I am cutting it on the intricate cuts setting once again, and hopefully I won't have too much trouble weaving it from the mat. Here's the Christmas tree layer. Now it was a little bit tricky to get all those tiny little bits out, but it was worth it. Just be patient and take it very easy. You can see I chose this nice bright orangey colour for the layer with the little house on it. I fixed the windows and just made them simple square openings because before they were just a little bit too small to cut. Hopefully this will be a bit better. Because the little house is so small, I've got the setting on intricate cut settings once again. Here's the little house layer. The windows cut much better this time. Earlier I had little crossbars in them and they were just too small to cut out. So that's cut out really, really well. I'm very pleased with that now. This lovely coloured purple is going to be the layer with the hanging decorations on it. So I thought we needed something nice and bright to make them really stand out. Once again, there are very tiny little details in the cut, so I'm using the intricate cut setting. Here's the decorations layer. I did it in a nice purple. It's a little bit brighter than what the video shows, so it should stand out really nicely. It cut beautifully, no problems whatsoever, and that was on the intricate cut setting. I'm using this really pretty dark blue glitter paper for the layer that's going to be the dark night sky. I actually went ahead and designed a new mountain range to put in this as well, so it's a little bit different to my original one. I've got the setting on glitter cardstock setting, which means it will cut through twice. Here's the mountain range layer with a new mountain range. It cut out beautifully on the glitter cardstock setting, which meant that it cut through everything twice. That's going to add some really lovely shimmer to the night sky. Here's how it's all going to look together. To make the rising sun section, I'm not going to cut a whole layer. What I'm going to do is just use a piece that I have left over, and I'm going to paste it onto the back of the blue night sky sheet. So it's just going to go onto the back of that sheet like that. So this is what the night sky layer looks like now. Looks very pretty with the new mountain range. So that's all the layers except for the back one. This is my back piece, and these are my two side pieces. You can see the slots that the tabs are going to fit into. Now the only thing I need to do to these pieces is to score them from here to here. You can see the 2 points to make the tabs that we're going to glue the back and the front pieces onto. So I'm just going to pop it on my mat, line it up, grab my scoring tool and try to line those pointy bits up as best as I can and score, and do that for the other 3, and then we're ready to assemble the whole thing. The 2 side pieces have been scored and are now ready to go. So starting from the front, this is the second piece back from the front. The tabs on either side fit into the slots. Very easy and quite simple. And then they move down a little bit. Make sure that they're all level at the bottom. So I just like to give them a bit of a tap, make sure they're level. And then finding the back side of the tab, that's going to be the front, so it's going to be this way. Turn it over and lay it down. Now, I like to use some of this clear tape on mine. Just makes it a little more sturdy, I think, because as I was making the first one that I made, the little tabs kept slipping out of their slot, which was very frustrating. When you put a little bit of tape on them, there's no way that they're going to slip out. So that's how it goes. The second one, the second side, goes in exactly the same way. In the front slot, both of them. Make sure that they all line up at the bottom. Lay it down. Make sure your tabs are in properly for a start. That would be a good idea. Okay, line them all up so that they're nice and even at the bottom. And a little bit of tape on the back of the tab. If you use invisible tape, you can't see it unless you look really, really carefully. So here's the first one in, and the rest of them work exactly the same way. I'll go ahead and do the rest of them now. Here we go. I've got all of the layers in now. You can see how easily it falls to collapse. Pretty colours along the side, which I think add a little bit of interest to it. You can see how all of the layers come together. And now it's time to put the front and the back section on. So I'm going to collapse it, turn it over and do the back section first. Now these are going to be glued on. The glue goes along the 2 tabs that we've got here and here. Just a tiny little dab. You don't need very much at all. I like to run my finger down it, smooth it over a bigger surface area. Now, the back goes up to the line, to the fold line of the tab, and make sure that it's nice and even along the bottom and that it lines up with everything else. Now we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to fold it the other way. Just gently give that a little bit more pressure. This time, the back is going to go on top of this tab over here on the left. Okay, and this is where we're going to glue it. and allow a couple of minutes for the glue to hold. It should sit nice and flat. So now we're going to have a look at the front piece, and we're going to do it in exactly the same way. The piece will get glued to the tabs in the same way that the back piece did. So just make sure that everything's going to be okay. Just fold it back the other way, very gently, folding it flat, just to make sure that everything stays in place and that nothing moves. And we're done. So this is the finished stand-up box. It looks very pretty with the glitter on the front. I love the curly whirly Christmas tree and the new blue mountains that I've put in at the back. This is what it looks like from the top. You can see all the layers. And from the side, and from the back. And the other side. So it automatically stands up really nicely on its own. I'm going to lay it down for the moment though, because otherwise you can't see in. Whoop. I love the extra detail. I love this little decoration here that we've hung from the top. The little presents all show up beautifully. The little house is so cute and shows up nicely against the dark blue glittery background. And the sun rising behind the mountains. I think it's the sun, not the moon. I just love the way this has turned out, and I hope you like it too. I'd love you to comment and leave me some ideas about colour schemes or how I could have done things differently. Maybe you've made some of these and you do them a little bit differently. I'd love you to let me know. But in the meanwhile, thank you so much for watching. And I'll be back with another video very soon.